Okay, now we continue to chapter 4 about business income. Okay, now class, this chapter, the first part, we're going to determine the income that you earn, right, is whether under the business category or not, right? Whether is it trading activity. Okay. Now, first of all, the definition. This will be include profession, vocations, and also a trade, and every manufacturer, adventure, and a constant in the nature of trade. Now, but actually this one we will give you details meaning about all this word in here, alright? But just remember, employment is not considered business, because you see, normally when we provide a service to the others, we will also consider that is some kind of business. Let's say accounting service, law service, right? Whatever service. But that is actually under business. But imagine if let's say you are a worker, you're also providing your service to the company, am I right? But can we say that employment is a business? No, right? That's why actually here the remark here, exclude employment, right? Employment is not a business. Now next, this business will be involve trade, involve vocation, involve profession. Now actually what it means by trade? Now basically trade means like trading, right? So there are few characteristics. Now it will involve some nature of a commercial undertaking, which buying and selling, right, is actually the most obvious characteristic. So you will involve buy and sell, right? Buy and sell activity. And then also those activity will consist of a series of transactions having continuity and also repetition. So the transaction is not going to happen once only, right? It will keep on repeating, buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. And then sometimes would include even an isolated transaction, maybe even though a single transaction, right? So that might be also include, right? Depends on the nature. And it will be reflected also by the intention at the time of acquisition. It will be affected by the intention, the purpose, right, when you buy. So if let's say during the time you buy, okay, so your main purpose is to aim for profit, that might be also indicate a trading, right, a business. Now next, profession. Now profession, you can say that is a service provider, okay? So not buy and sell, but we provide skill, we provide service, okay? So this can be carried out by individual or by a company. So it is an exercise of intellectual skill or manual skill. Example, the individual have a skill on engineering, auditing, legal, or even though medical practice. So they are actually providing the profession skill, right? This is also considered as a business. Now one more. Vocation. Now vocation sometimes will relate to hobby, right? So this is actually a calling, the way a person pass his life. Now sometimes you are earning an income, so by exercising your own hobby, or you can take an example like a priest in a church, right? Actually a priest in a church, they are actually not providing a very special skill, right? Sometimes it's like a God calling, right? God actually appointed me as a priest in the church, right? I need to serve the people, blah, blah, blah. But actually they didn't provide a very special skill and so on, am I right? So that's why this is, you can consider this is like a vocation, okay? Alright, now next. So now class, usually how to determine whether that is in the nature of trade or not. Now certain criteria in here. Now just look at the point in here. Now first, usually you will have an assistance of an organization, which means you will set up a business, you will form a company, right? So there is an organization. So then this will be indicate a nature of trade. And also you will have some activities which will lead to the maturing of the asset to be sold. So you will have a selling activity, okay? And the assistance of the special skill, the opportunity in connection with the article deal with. So you will always create the opportunity to provide a special skill or selling your asset, okay? And the last one, the nature of the asset itself sometimes will lend itself to the commercial transaction also. Let's say you buy a lorry, right? So this lorry is an asset, right? But the nature of this lorry is actually already show you that they have a commercial transaction with it. Because why? Sometimes if let's say you explain to the others, you say that a lorry actually I buy for my personal use. Is it make sense? You drive lorry to shopping. You drive lorry to fetch your son from the school.
Sometimes.
Maybe sometimes, but the nature of the asset itself, you look at the lorry, is it actually for personal use only, private use, or actually it's more on commercial use? Yes, that's why this is the meaning. The nature of the asset itself already tell you that it is commercial purpose. You get what I mean? Alright? So this is few criteria, okay, on the nature of trade. Okay, then something interesting that we have to learn about is badges of trade. Alright? Now class, badges of trade means that you can say that it's a guideline for you to determine whether the transaction is trading or non-trading. Very simple example, class. Let's say I have a marker pen in here, right? So this marker pen, let's say I buy and subsequently I sell it, right? Let's say I buy at 1 ringgit, I sell it at 2 ringgit. I earn profit of 1 ringgit, right?
Yes.
This is my income, correct? This activity, this transaction is business or non-business? How you determine that it's a business income? In my whole life, I only sell once for this pen because actually I have no use on this already. Okay, so I buy this for 1 and subsequently I sell it for 2 ringgit. Oh, okay, I at least earn some income. But then this pen, because I have no more use on this. Then what just now you say is business? Then what if, let's say, class, I tell you that this marker pen I buy and sell, and then I actually selling for almost 50 times in a year.
Yeah,
buy and sell the pen.
Business income.
Then business or non-business?
Business income.
Business. Okay. Then what if, let's say, another scenario? This one I buy and sell because I have no money to eat already. I need the 2 ringgit to buy a very normal nasi lemak. So I have only 1 pen on my hand. So I sell it for 2 ringgit. So at least I have money to eat. Business?
No business.
Or non-business? So now class, do you realize your changes?
Yes.
Why sometimes you say business, sometimes you say it's non-business?
Because
You have to sometimes understand what is actually the nature first, the purpose first, and also the sequence, the frequency of the transaction and so on. Am I right? So class, actually all this is the badges of trade. Alright? Now how you determine a transaction, whether it's business or non-business, we will actually look at all these badges of trade. Right? That will actually help you to determine whether this is the activity related to business or non-business. So let's look at it one by one. But of course, class, sometimes if it's subject to argument, alright? Like just now, I give you some example maybe. So I will say that actually I buy and sell this pen. So and then actually I buy and sell for like let's say 10 times in a year, and then after that no more, right? So maybe you will actually have some argument. Hey, this year actually the frequency is quite a lot, but next year no more. So that is served as a point that you can argue that it's a non-business income, but you also can argue that it's a business income. You get what I mean? Sometimes it was subject to argument, but sometimes certain case is already very obvious, right? That is already indicate business. That is already indicate non-business, right? I will give you a few questions for you to determine later, alright? Now, first badges of trade. Look at the subject matter of the transaction. So basically, the asset, right, the item that you sell and you earn the profit, you earn the income. Now, basically, first thing you must actually see the asset that you yield income. Is it actually the nature is for your personal enjoyment or not, right? Now, let's say class, this pen, I actually at first I buy it because I want to use. Okay, I use it, I use, and then after that I think this is no longer in use. Okay, so I sell it. So this pen, the subject matter at first is for personal enjoyment or actually is for your purpose to earn profit. More on my personal enjoyment first. Am I right? Personal use first. So that's why this will be indicate non-trading. Understand? But if let's say I buy this pen, I didn't use it because actually I want to sell it and I want to earn profit. Is it personal enjoyment?
No.
Then no. Right? Then it will be more indicate for trading. Boleh faham right? Subject matter. Okay. Second, period of ownership will also help you to determine for it. Now class, the longer the period you hold the asset, the lesser the chances will be constructed as a trading. Very common situation class. If you really want to do a business and you earn profit, right? The stock, the item you buy in, actually you will prefer to hold it longer or you hold it shorter.
Hold it shorter.
Why? Yes, you want to buy and sell faster and then you earn more money, correct or not? So, but what if let's say this asset you actually don't want to sell, but purposely buy and sell, but you use it for your personal purpose, then actually you will hold longer or actually shorter?
Hold longer.
Longer because you want to use it, correct or not? So now period of the ownership will help you to determine for it also, right? Now, but how to determine whether long or short? 1 year? Consider long period or short period?
Long period.
Generally, alright, actually we do not have a specific terms on that, like to say that 1 year is actually long term, alright, less than 1 is short term. No, we do not have the standard like this. But generally, right, we will actually assume that less than 5 years still considered short term, right? More than 5 years will be considered long term, right? Generally, okay. Like example, I have a house. Subsequently, I sold it. So whether actually this is a business activity or non-business, so you will also determine later, right? So it depends on the period. So next, number 3. Another branches of trade is formation of a company. Class, if you form up a company, indicate for trading or non-trading? Definitely trading, right? So it's for business purpose already. If you don't want to do business, what for you form up a company? Correct,
Yes.
right? When you have an organization, you have a company, you form up the company, is trading. Frequency of transaction. Okay, now this is actually the one we mentioned just now. If I keep buy and sell the item, so what do you think? Business or non-business? Business, right? If let's say very less frequency, I only sell once in my lifetime, right? That is non-business usually, okay? And same thing also a question class. How to determine is frequent? How many times considers frequent?
More than one.
Again, the same class. We do not have a standard how many times is considered frequent, right? But generally, okay, less than 3 times in a year is not frequent, right? Less than 3 times in a year is normally not frequent, okay? So this is some general guidelines, but we do not have a standard terms for that, right? So how many times considered frequent, okay? Next. Alterations of to the property. Alteration means some changes, right? So alteration actually means changes. Now any alteration or improvement, okay, to render it to be more marketable or more merchantable. So which means if let's say you spend some cost, right, or you make some changes on the item, okay, so then actually and then your purpose will be actually make it to be more valuable, more marketable. This indicate trading, right? So because you want to sell it at a higher value, so your main purpose it seems like to a profit already, then it will be indicate for business. All right, example, let's say I buy a car, right? Subsequently, I modify it, turbo engine, right? And then the car, everything I repaint it in a very sporty color, right? And then also everything look very elegant, very nice. Okay, subsequently I sell it. Now by right, before the turbo engine and also before any modifications. So the car value, market value, let's say only 50,000. After I modified the turbo engine, 100,000. No lah, I think 70,000 lah, let's say lah. Okay, I only spent about 10,000 on that, but I can sell it for 70,000 now, extra 20,000. Alright, so this one is indicate business or non-business? More on business already, correct? Unless you modify it because on your own enjoyment. After you modify, you still keep it yourself, right? And you use it. Alright, that is non-trading. Understand? But if let's say you modify it already and then so on, okay, you sell it at a higher value, more on trading. Okay, so you have more indications of business already. So this is about alteration. So next, the circumstances responsible for the realization. So which means under what situation you actually sell. Remember just now I told you that this pen I sell because of I want to get some money to buy some food. Correct? So actually class, in that situation I am in the urgency of cash. I need cash, and that is why I sell this. Alright? So in this situation, do you think it's business? Business I urgent for cash. That's why sounds like actually I forced to sell this item because I want to get back some cash. Correct? So and then I can buy some food. In this situation, is it considered I doing business activity? No, because I actually forced to sell it. You get what I mean? So this is actually the circumstances. Sometimes the item, your item, right? You're forced to sell it because of a certain special situation. Like example, the government force you to sell. Okay, let's say you have a house. Okay, and subsequently government come and tell you, hey, this land, this area, I want to develop. Right? So and your house must be removed. So I will actually buy your house from you. Okay, and please move from here, from maybe next month onwards. So I will develop this area. Example. So in this situation, are you actually purposely sell your house? It's under the circumstances where you forced to sell. So not trading also. Understand? Even though you're earning a profit when you sell the house to government, but that income is non-trading income. Alright? Not a business activity. Or maybe because of your urgent need of cash or other trading operation, or you actually lack of capital to work on your asset, that's why you sell some item. Right? So that is non-business, yeah? Indicate for non-business. Next badges of trade. Now we will also look at the motive and the intention of the taxpayer. So the intention for disposing at a profit or actually is a permanent investment. If let's say your intention is to dispose the item at a profit, that is business. Alright, that is trading. But if let's say you make it as a permanent investment, that is non-trading. We already mentioned what is investment purpose, not for business purpose. Alright? Okay, so if let's say your motive, your intention is just to earn profit, then definitely this is to earn a short-term profit, right? Especially, so that will be indicated for a trading. So that's why you can see the second point: purchase with a view of quick resale at a profit. So I want to faster sell it, and then I want to earn a profit. It's not like holding for a long time for investment, right? So that will be actually indicate for trading, huh? And number 8, we will also look at your method employed in disposal of the asset. Now class, if let's say you sell the item, right? Okay, so the method you use is you put in a lot of marketing effort, right? You also employ many skilled staff to sell for all those items. And then actually class, this will be indicate business, right? Because actually you have organized those activity designed to promote your sales. If you are not doing business, you are not so desperate to actually promote your item, right? To promote your sales. So all those advertisement, employ of a skilled staff is indicate trading. Okay. So class, if I just want to sell this one marker banner, do you think I will go and put advertisement? Do you think I will go and employ a skilled staff? Hey, please help me to sell one marker pen. No, right? But what if, let's say, I will buy and sell many marker pen? Then do you think I make advertisement?
Yes.
I employ skilled staff?
Yes.
Then yes, right? So that is the difference. Now, next, number 9. Okay, financing arrangement. Class, this is quite an interesting topic. Let me just ask you some questions first. Let's do a survey. Alright? Now, class, imagine today you are actually just an individual, right? Whereby you have a lot of cash on hand. Okay? And then now you want to buy a house for yourself to stay. Okay? Now, and you have a lot of cash on hand already. It's good enough for you to actually buy this house for cash. Alright? Now, but then I will ask you a question. Do you, if let's say you have so much of cash, right? Do you prefer to actually just pay everything on cash, or actually you will just go for loan? You are just an individual.
Yes.
You do not do any business, and then you just want to buy this house for your own enjoyment. All right? And then actually, this house worth, let's say, 1 million. If you go for loan, maybe let's say you pay for 30 years, example, end of the day you will pay 2 million.
Yes.
Which one will you prefer? You actually have many cash on hand now. Of course, subject to you have cash or not, am I right? If you do not have cash, definitely you still need to go for loan,
yes.
right? But now my situation is say that you have a lot of cash on hand. The house is 1 million. You want to actually buy this house for your own use, right? You want to stay inside. And then if let's say you go for loan, end up in the end of the 30 years later, you will pay 2 million already. So which one you prefer? Cash. Alright, because we don't want to spend so much of interest to the bank. Correct? Because I have also have cash already. Alright. Of course, class, actually different individual will have a different mindset. Now some of the people that will tell me that no, I don't want to pay everything by cash. I will still go for loan. So because I want my cash to use for other purpose.
Yes.
Example, I want to do a business.
Yes.
Alright, this is some kind of example. Okay. Now, by class, if let's say you are the one who only actually buy the item for your personal enjoyment, right? And then you have no indications for other use already, no indications for business, then actually you will pay cash. Do you agree? Because I don't want to pay so much of bank interest also, right? Okay. But if let's say today you do a business, let's say also you are actually a businessman, have a lot of cash, and then let's say you actually buy and sell the house, right? And then class, you have a lot of cash on hand, and then now you want to buy a house. This house actually not for you to stay. You want to buy and you want to sell. Business, right? Okay, then now you prefer to pay in cash or you prefer to pay in loan? Loan, right? So because actually you can keep all this money, because normally buy house, right, you must pay some cash deposit first. The rest you can go for loan, right? So and then you can actually keep all this money, keep the cash in hand. So maybe for this 1 million, if you put all the money into to buy one house only, right, then you have no more money already, correct? But if let's say you want to buy more and more house and sell more and more house, then you will actually keep this money, alright, and then pay maybe for one house deposit, the rest go for loan. Then I can buy second house, and then I can buy third house, fourth, fifth, and sixth, anything, alright. But end up, I don't worry about the loan. You know why? Because very fast I will sell the house already, and then I can settle the loan. So I'm not going to pay many interest. You get what I mean? So actually, the businessman mindset that will go more on borrowing instead of cash. Okay, but individual, if let's say not for business purpose, I will prefer cash more than borrowing because we want to save interest. Understand? So this is actually the financing arrangement. If let's say for you to buy the item, you actually go more on borrowing instead of cash, right? Borrowing more than cash indicate business, right? If you go for cash more than borrowing, indicate non-business. Right? This is some general general badges of trade in here, right? The criteria for this one. Okay? So you can just write a summary. So borrowing more than cash indicate business. Cash more than borrowing indicate non-business. Okay, and then number 10, accounting evidence, another badges of trade. Okay, so normally the accounting record or the account keeping of the taxpayer is often as a guidance to determine whether the transaction is actually capital or revenue in nature. So whether is it a business or non-business. Business means revenue, non-business means capital. Okay, so the accounting document will show, right, whether is it this transaction is related to business or not. So you can refer to the accounting record. And then number 11, destination of the profit. So class, if let's say your main purpose is to earn profit, right? So actually I think you will transfer back the profit into the business again, right? Let's say just now I said that I buy and sell this marker pen, right? So after I sell for 2 ringgit, if I further want to earn more profit, then what will you do? The 2 ringgit, will you spend for other things or will you spend to buy the stock again?
Stock again.
Yes, buy the stock again. You will transfer back the profit to the business again, right? Buy the stock and keep on again, repeated the same thing, right? So this indicates trading. Alright, now class, we already briefly explained about the 11 badges just now, right? Now look at your question 1. Now, by the way, class, just give you a summary in here, alright? Now, if let's say, okay, because the badges of trade is for us to determine whether it's business or non-business, correct or not? Okay, so if let's say this is a business, or you can say it's a trading income, alright? Then this is usually revenue in nature, right? Revenue in nature. And usually this will be definitely subject to income tax. Okay, and if let's say this is a non-trading transaction, alright, or you can say a non-trading income, then normally it will be capital in nature. And for those the capital item, right, so the non-trading transaction, it not subject to income tax. Okay, but of course, class, all this we are not mentioning about the section 4A to 4F, yeah, which is not subject to income tax. Anything 4A to 4F must subject to income tax, yeah. The example I mentioned for this one, okay, non-trading transaction, is like example that I have a house and I sell my house, right? So because let's say this is a house I stay for 10 years already. So subsequently I will move to another place maybe. So this old house I will sell, correct not? And the housing price keep increasing, correct not? So and then definitely I will earn a profit. So the profit that I earn from this old house, is it normally will be capital in nature, because my main purpose is not earning profit, you see, because I'm moving to another new house, so I sell it. And this house at first also is my personal enjoyment, so I'm not doing the business on the house. You get what I mean? Alright, so that will be falls under non-trading transaction, so capital in nature. So the income that I earn from this house, right, the old house, is not subject to income tax. But class, not subject to income tax doesn't mean you did not subject to other tax, yeah, right? Remember the first chapter we already explained about the Malaysian tax system. You have different type of tax, correct? Income tax, of course, is the most important one, right? But you have other tax like what? Real property gain tax, stamp duty, GST, and so on. Am I right? So now class, the old house that I sold, right? I earn profit. I'm not subject to income tax because non-business, right? But I will subject to real property gain tax. Boleh faham, ah? Okay? That's why not subject to income tax doesn't mean not subject to other tax. Okay? Alright, so this is a summary for you. And then now you go back to your question 1. Look at the required part first before you look at the information. Now state with a reason whether the above transaction is subject to tax or not. I need you to make a correction for me. Can you just add in one word in here? Subject to income tax. Alright? So make it clear, alright? Not to confuse you. Alright, on your question, add in a word, income tax. Okay, so class, this question, I gave you about 5 minutes. Okay, you try to read it, understand it, okay, and you tell me whether this transaction is it considered subject to income tax or not. If subject to income tax means that you will say that it's a business transaction. Alright? So, but you must support with your point. So, whereby you must refer to the badges of trade. Okay? So, you have to explain to me why you think it's subject to income tax. Okay? So, this is some example of the theory.